Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Derek Fry. I am the intern on Marshall University's campus for Turning Technologies. That means that anything Turning Technologies related, clicker related so to speak, I'm the man to see about this. I can answer just about any question that you have with regards to the program and the hardware. If not, I can get you in touch with someone who, if I can't solve your problem, I can get you in touch with someone who can solve your problem. My office is located in CB211 inside of the MU Design Center. If you'll look in the bottom right hand corner of this first slide, there is my contact information, email, and cell number. And today's presentation that I'm bringing you is about how to convert from TurningPoint 4, which is what is installed on most, if not all, of the university's computers, to TurningPoint 5, which is the new version of the software that TurningPoint released this fall. Alright, the major differences between the two products is that unlike TurningPoint 4, where each individual program was a separate program, TurningPoint 5 has accumulated them all into one large program. No more Results Manager and TurningPoint, no more TurningPoint Anywhere, no more Selfpaced polling. It is all involved in this one single package. Another nice feature is that you don't have to have PowerPoint up to manipulate data. You can go to the Manage tab of the main UI that you see whenever you open up the program, and you can run reports, manage student participant lists, etc., and so on and so forth. As I mentioned, the UI is new, user interface. It allows for an easier access of material. Things are more intuitive and easier to get to, and this opens up before you actually begin either TurningPoint Anywhere or TurningPoint or the self-paced polling. You have to use it to get through any of the programs, but that's okay because, like I said, they're all packed into one package, and you don't have to worry about various shortcuts and whatnot. Also, there is a no install version of the software. This no install version allows you to put the program on a jump drive and take your sessions, your participant lists, everything that you do in the classroom with you on a single jump drive. So no more worrying about transferring data. That headache is a thing of the past. Like I said, all the data gets stored with the program. You can still access it, of course, under documents, TurningPoint, and whatnot, or wherever you have wherever you're running the program from. All right, this is the basic user interface that you start up with. As you can see on the left, you get to pick your participants before you even start the presentation or the TurningPoint Anywhere session. You can load in question lists on the left. There are 3 main tabs and 3 main programs. You can change your receiver channel. If you look just below the content tab, there is a little Eiffel Tower looking thing with what looks like little signals coming out from it. It has your receiver number. All you have to do is simply click the receiver number, and it'll give you an option to change the channel. Also, you can start ResponseWare from this menu as well over on the far right below the Turning Talk and the Feedback tab. Alright, so the PowerPoint add-on is seen below, and it is essentially the same thing as TurningPoint 4, but the user interface inside of PowerPoint looks very, very different. One of the main changes from TurningPoint 4 to TurningPoint 5 is the ability to access and manipulate a lot of the data from outside of the PowerPoint add-on. So you don't have to start PowerPoint anymore. Like I was saying earlier, you can simply go into the Manage tab and change a lot of the data. TurningPoint Anywhere operates relatively the same. I don't believe there are any major changes with it. Most of the changes with TurningPoint Anywhere are primarily aesthetic, and it still functions the same with the exception of having to open it up through the UI in the TurningPoint program. So like I said, you open up the program, you get the window that is seen to the right in the bottom right hand corner of the screen, and you would select TurningPoint Anywhere, and it would open up and it would operate the same from there. Yes, this still is this and self-paced polling and managing content and managing data files, etc., and so on and so forth are still the only options viable for Mac users, unless you want to use the older version of TurningPoint with the older version of Microsoft PowerPoint. Alright, so self-paced polling. This is for those who would like to give tests without having to worry about written answers and would like the students' grade or work to be graded right there on the spot, where students would be able to take tests and quizzes at their own pace. You'd create a question list, and students would then answer questions on their own with their clickers. The only clickers, however, that are compatible with this are XR and NXT clickers. The ones with the large LCD screen on them, the arrows that navigate left and right, and the OK button. This is the TurningPoint 4 menu, and let's take a real quick look at the TurningPoint 5 menu. As you can see, the TurningPoint menu is on its own tab, outside of kind of outside on its own, and it feels more like an add-on. The buttons do feel and look more intuitive. For example, your session stuff is broke up over here. Your options are over here on the right. Receiver options are in the middle. Participant options are here by themselves, and then slide options over here on the left to insert new TurningPoint slides. And let's talk about the main point. With the main difference between TurningPoint 4 and 5 in terms of the PowerPoint aspect is the insertion of new slides. Now what we have here is a sample of what inserting a slide looked like with TurningPoint 4, and here on the right we have a sample of what it looks like to insert a slide with TurningPoint 5. And what you'll realize is that all these things have been condensed into their own tabs, really. For example, like your random odds and ends slides are over here under Tools, right here. Like your comparative links, your demographic comparison slides. Converting to a picture slide is no longer its own large button, but is over here under Tools. And your ability to insert new slides is right here under New. And like I said, it has most things condensed. By default, you will be given a vertical chart slide, but you can change that once the slide has been made. Timers and other objects. They are simply located underneath the Objects tab. It's not that different from TurningPoint 4. If you look over here in the bottom left-hand corner, this is a sample from TurningPoint 4. Correct answer indicator, countdown timer, and over here on the right with TurningPoint 5, or up here, you'll see the same exact thing. Correct answer indicator, countdown timers, grids, etc. The main difference here between 4 and 5 is that with TurningPoint 5, there is no longer a hotkey inside. Well, there is a hotkey, but there is no longer a button on the TurningPoint 5 interface while the presentation is going on to create a timer on the fly. However, the hotkey still works. I believe it is F5. Okay, now let's talk about creating and registering participant lists. What you see below is a sample of participant lists, or a sample of participant list creation windows from TurningPoint4. Any of you who have created a participant list in TurningPoint4 may remember that it can feel a little hectic and can feel a little out of hand. I'm sure once you realize that you're simply clicking the next arrow a lot, then it doesn't feel as overwhelming. But a lot of the windows were redundant, and it felt like you were doing the same thing over and over. But those days are behind you. The TurningPoint 5 participant list creation only gives you a series of a couple windows. Under the participant tab that we talked about earlier on TurningPoint 5, the part of the toolbar that is solely dedicated to participants, there is a Manage button. You just click that, click New List, and then there's an option to create a list from scratch or import one from Blackboard. The only problem with importing from Blackboard at this point is Marshall is using a version of Blackboard that is not necessarily compatible with this software. And sometimes it works, other times it doesn't. It's really off and on. So until we get a newer version of, or like a newer patch of Blackboard, it's going to be unreliable. So your best option at this point is to create a list from scratch. And just like before, you copy and paste from an Excel sheet from MUBERT, and you save and close. The window that you paste into looks much like it's the window in the background on the right hand side. The one that's in the foreground is what real-time registration looks like now. Relatively the same thing, only slightly more aesthetically pleasing and a few less buttons to be concerned about. Let's talk about the Manage tab now. It is a way of generating reports, creating participant lists, and managing session data. Reports can also be generated from inside of the TurningPoint add-on. That is, whenever you start a PowerPoint, there's an area to generate reports, but you can also do it from outside of the PowerPoint, and it's a lot user-friendly. You have a lot more access to things. And if you'll notice on the left of the user interface, a little bit beneath the polling tab, you'll notice a list of participant lists. And if you'll look, there is a white sheet named test session underneath presentation test. That is a session file that has been saved to that participant list. In TurningPoint 5, whenever you save a session while you have a participant list loaded, it will automatically allocate that session file to that participant list, essentially managing and organizing your session data for you, which is a new feature and certainly a helpful one. To generate a report, you simply click Reports while the session is selected. So for example, I would click on Test Session. You would get a screen like you can see down below us, down below the text, where it says Test Session. The little report button in the bottom right hand corner, you would click it, or you could simply double click the session file. Alright, after that you will get a screen like the one we see before us, and the type of report that has been generated can be changed by that little highlighted box in the upper right hand corner of the user interface, that the picture that we see on the screen right now. The different types of reports have been narrowed down to where you can view individual participant results, the results of the class as a whole, and a few other types of results, like results by demographics, etc. The benefit to this is if any of you have, if any of you all have generated a report with TurningPoint 4, you'll remember that it can get really overwhelming, the various types of reports that you could generate, and that quite frankly half the time, or over half the time, most of the options weren't used. It was either results by participant or participant results that was selected. I know some of you may be worried and wondering about old session files saved from TurningPoint 4. And the good news is that these files can still be accessed and imported into TurningPoint 5. Whenever you have selected the Manage tab, located physically beneath the Content button, you will see a Session tab, like a drop-down menu. You simply click it and click Import. From there, you just find the file of the old session, or the old session files, and you'll be able to import them that way. Participant lists can also be done this way in the same manner. The participant list drop-down menu is located physically to the left of the session drop-down menu, as seen in the pictures, and you simply click the drop-down button and click Import, and then select your file with your participant list on it, and it should import the participant list for you automatically. You won't have to re-register clickers. That should stay with it. Also, you can edit the participant list outside of the TurningPoint PowerPoint add-on. This is mainly for manual manipulation. So let's say a student forgot his clicker whenever you're doing real-time registration. You can input their device IDs manually from here, or add on extra students manually from here. Alright, so let's talk about the Content tab for a little bit. The Content tab is where you're going to go if you want to create question lists ahead of time, and this is mainly for TurningPoint Anywhere and for your self-paced polling. The Content tab is located on the primary user interface, like whenever you start the program, TurningPoint 5, between Polling and Manage. To create a question list, you simply click the question list drop-down menu, then you click New, and it will give you a menu with a list of options as seen in the pictures below. It gives you options such as to set the default correct point values, the default incorrect point values, the number of answer choices, font sizes, things like that. What kind of font you'd like in your presentation. To edit and manage a question, you just simply double click on the question and you'll be given a list of potential answers, and you can edit those answers or set a correct answer. If you have a desire to use question lists created outside of PowerPoint, inside of PowerPoint, there's no problem with that. The Import button located on the toolbar inside of PowerPoint, the TurningPoint toolbar inside of PowerPoint, you click it, find the content directory, essentially find the question list that you're looking for, select it, and double click it, whatever, and it should import it into the presentation just fine, and it'll load in the questions all in one big lump. They won't be spread out throughout your presentation, but they can be moved around and adjusted accordingly. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for watching, and that's all I have for you today.